Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome back to yet another episode of Olio. This is season 4, episode 2. It is what it is. I'm very excited for today's episode. Definitely going to be very chill. Kind of a chill mindset type of day that we're going to be talking about. So that's the kind of the idea, isn't it? Before we break into that today, I always like to start by giving a little bit of context, what I'm up to today, what's going on. Today is one of my days off from work, which is nice, so I get a bit of time to chill, do the podcast, and, probably work on some stuff, some music stuff. The past few days, I've been really excited because I've been working with some friends on some collaborations and things like that, music collaborations. And we actually just wrapped up one the other day. And so, yeah, I'm really excited. I basically am starting to line up videos because I was hoping to break into kind of like a regular schedule with those. And I feel like so far so good. So I have a video planned for Wednesday. That's tomorrow at the time of this podcast recording. And I have one for the next Wednesday after that and other stuff like that. So it's just been going really good. Kind of breaking into a nice schedule. And overall just really excited for those collaborations to come to light. It's so fun working with people on music especially. Oh, there's like nothing better than when you are working on something with someone and you finally hit a spot that's just like, and it clicks and you kind of make eye contact with the person that you're looking at or that you're working with. You kind of just make eye contact with them and you're like, oh my gosh, this is it. So yeah, really, really awesome stuff coming in the works. With that being said, let's kind of break into the topic for today's podcast, which is, it is what it is. And kind of the it is what it is mindset in a way, which is kind of, that's what I like to call it. And I feel like it's a mindset that I have been, growing towards adapting fully, certainly since I'd say since like the summer of this past year. More than anything, I've been trying to take what we're going to talk about today and really apply it to my life. So let's kind of break it down a little bit. I think more than anything, it's, taking what comes to you and dealing with it in your own head and dealing with it mentally, perhaps in a more passive manner versus, going out and trying to control and shape your surroundings and things that are happening around you. Perhaps more seeing what's coming at you, recognizing it, and realizing that, well, okay, even if it's not what you expected, it's not what you planned, that it is what it is. And kind of taking those things and not necessarily at face value, right? Because sometimes we have things that happen and it can seem like a really negative impact, but yet, it's not, and it's not avoiding it either, right? It's more of bringing something in and then working on it and passing it back out versus just kind of blocking it out. So I'll find some examples of that in my life, starting through in this, the past summer. So, I think a good place to start without getting, to, sharing things that aren't mine to share. I'll say that I was not planning on, and this was at this is kind of when the start of this whole mindset idea kind of happened in my life, I think. So This summer, I was not planning on going to in-person college at all. That was not in the books for me because all of my freshman year of college was in 2020 to 2021, and that was completely remote. So I just was living at my parents' house, and I was planning on being remote or commuting for all 4 years of college because I was like, well, financially, that's, kind of the smart thing to do. And I didn't mind being remote at all. I was homeschooled. If you want to hear more about that, definitely check out the last episode where I talked about education a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I think I was homeschooled all the way up until high school. So I'll recap a little bit. And then that freshman year of college was completely remote. And I was not planning on going to college at all, going to in-person college, because I figured, again, well, let's just stay here, save money, be smart. I can be working, all of that. And then I kind of had some conflict over the summer in more ways than one. And I'm not going to dive too far into that because, again, some of that isn't mine to share. But I think I ended up making the choice to, because of that conflict in a way, I wanted to go to in-person college and I wanted to, move out of the house and, and I think also this plays into being cooped up because of the pandemic, right? So I wanted to move out of the house and experience something new and give it a shot, give the college thing a shot, because why not? And it was tough for me. It was a fantastic semester, and looking back on it all, I mean, I wouldn't change a thing about it because I grew so much. But when I was first starting, I'm a very, I think people who knew me a couple years ago know me as a very controlling person, kind of a control freak personality a little bit, and I think I still do, have that a little bit. So moving into college, moving into this in-person college, I had so much less control over almost everything. I had less control over my schedule, whether it be with classes, or my work schedule tied into my classes. I had less control over the physical space that I was in because I was living with people. I had less control over, even like my sleep schedule, because sometimes people were up when I wasn't, or was trying to be asleep, or people would be loud, or people would be doing things. I mean, most of it's tied around people for me, but I had so much less control overall, and I didn't like that at first. That it was really tough to break into that and be okay with sacrificing all of that control as a typically very controlling person. When I lived at my parents' house just like a month prior, right? It's pretty much, it all hit in like one day, where one day I was in my parents' house in my very nice, controlled environment with my life completely exactly how I would want every little bit and piece to be, even with classes like a Zoom class. Maybe you don't get to choose when those are, but like you have much more control that way. So that's all one day. And then the very next day is I'm losing all of that control and I have to give it up because I don't have another choice. Because I chose to go to in-person college and I'm paying for it, and it's, I have to give that up to go. And it was tough, but what I think started to happen in maybe the first month or so of college, and I actually had Olio, the last season of Olio was going through, I should go back and listen to some of those because I'm curious on how I was feeling and things like that, because I actually did that podcast through the summer into that school year. So I actually should go back and check that out. But, the first like month or so, there was a switch that flipped for the first time. And I had never, it was the strangest thing because I, as such a very controlling person, I grew up in like, all that I was talking about here. But all of a sudden my mentality changed and it was like, no, this is okay. Sacrificing that control, giving it up, is okay. And there's perhaps, in a way, more peace in, realizing that you don't have the responsibility of controlling all of these things, or you don't have to, you don't have that responsibility. You don't have to be in charge of everything. You can just let whatever happens come to you, and then you deal with it that way. Instead of trying to tweak everything so that it all comes to you in the correct way, just let whatever happens happen. Did I say that right? Let whatever happens happen. Yeah. Let whatever happens happen. And you have the ability to choose how you feel about it, right? You have the ability to choose how you feel about most things. I think my mentality with that is almost every single emotion you have some sort of control over. The one exception for that in my eyes is love. I think you either love something or love someone or you don't. And I don't think it's necessarily your choice all the time. So maybe that's the one exception. That's an Olio for another day. But realizing that you don't have to you don't have to be in control of everything that comes to you, but just you can choose how to feel about what comes to you was a huge eye opener for me. And it changed my perspective on everything. So when my schedule and things would be changed, or I would be working many days in a row that maybe I, was feeling like, oh, I'm going to be overworked, or I'm going to be, stressed out because I have a class the next day, or I'm going to have to get up early this day. Like, okay, those are things that are going to happen. I'm going to have to work a bunch of days in a row and I'm going to have to get up early, but it is what it is. I have to do it. It is what it is. May not be what I, am like, was planning or what I really wanted, but it is what it is. So, I feel like taking what's coming at me and just realizing like, all right, this is a part of life. This is something we're doing, and let's go into it with, a positive perspective, as positive as it can be. And I think that has defined the way that I've operated the past maybe a half year. And it's been really good. There's been a lot of social situations that have happened with other people, with friends and other things like that would be way out of my comfort zone. Like, and even looking at what other people think. I mean, I was a much more judgmental person in a way, where I would look at what other people thought and what other people believed and be like, oh, okay, I wish I could control that or tweak that, or make this person maybe more like me so that we could potentially get along better, or, control things about other people. Because again, that's my control freak mentality. They're trying to tweak things. But now I'm realizing like, dude, you do not need to do that. And we're imperfect people. So like, not everyone's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. And, it is what it is. We make mistakes, but everyone makes mistakes. Even if it hurt my feelings, if somebody does something that hurts my feelings, but you came to me and like, all right, dude, I understand. It is what it is, and it's a weird thing for me because a lot of people don't think like that. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Perhaps the way that I'm looking at it is more, out there and maybe hippie a little bit of just, wow, it is what it is. but I think that I try to recognize that not everyone has that, that same outlook. And, I also try to make my actions work for them in a way, which requires some thinking if you want to get it exactly right, and you have to probably really dive into it and pull out the nitty gritties. But then again, that's kind of the controlling. So I think more than anything, I'm just trying to back up and breathe a little bit and just say that my actions and my choices and everything, even if I make the wrong choice somehow, or if I make the wrong choice, I say, well, I made the wrong choice, but it's the only choice I could have made because I thought about it whenever I made the choice. And if it didn't work out, dude, it is what it is. We live with it. We roll with it. We work with it. We roll with the punches. And even if it's not exactly what you planned, we can move on from that. And I think the biggest part of it is growth. When things don't go exactly how you planned, you grow from it more than if things go exactly how you planned. And I think that's kind of why this last half a year for me I feel like I've grown so much in my own confidence to deal with situations that come my way, because prior to this college experience, prior to going in-person college and doing all this, I think everything went my way. The big life things for the most part, like education and being homeschooled and going into public high school, into college and everything went my way. It was yep, all planned out exactly how I wanted it to be. And then all of a sudden, all that gets turned over and things start happening that weren't exactly planned and weren't exactly calculated. And I have to learn to move with that and grow with that. And I think that ability is what has made me so much more of a capable person to maneuver those things and maneuver life. So I know this whole episode, this whole podcast today is very not the word that keeps in my head is ethereal. It's not ethereal. I don't know why that keeps being in my head. It's very I don't know. Meta? Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. You're just it's very high base level, just I know you can't see on the audio version, but I'm making waving hands on video right now, just very spacious, very out there. We're just vibing. Yeah. So I think what I want to do now is kind of pose a question. This is something I'm going to try and do in each podcast as well, towards the latter end. I don't know why I said the latter end. towards the end of the episode, pose a question and kind of end by talking about that, answering that a little bit. And so what I want you to think about, and what I'll think about here to end, is, do you think you have an active or passive personality? I don't know if those are the correct terms. If somebody was taking a psychology class, you could probably give me the correct terminology for that. I just came up with that a minute ago. Do you have an active or passive personality? Active as in, do you see things coming towards you and reach out in front of you, and and neither of these are bad, by the way. I'm not trying to paint a picture that either one of these are bad, because it just totally depends on the person. Are you the person to, if something is going on, you go out and you address the situation and you fix the situation? Or are you the person who's passive and you're more just, okay, let's just see what happens and we'll deal with it after? Again, neither of those are wrong. And perhaps, I mean, there's probably, subjectively better parts of both of them. And perhaps that's what we all strive to be, right? Is having the right amount of restraint in a situation, but also having the strength to go and do something when something needs to be done. I guess that's what we all strive for, right? But for the most part, where does your personality fall? Active or passive? For me, kind of like we talked about today, I think it's passive. And I think before I would have said active. A very, go-getter, go do things and shape things and active person, I would say before. But now I'd say I'm a passive person where things happen and I just allow it to happen, to a point, right? But things happen, I allow it to happen, and then we go from there. And one step at a time, one day at a time, let things happen, see what happens after that. It's not a crazy complex thing. It just kind of feels like it. Just kind of feels like it, yeah. But it's not that bad. So what I would like to kind of invite us all to do, that sounds weird, invite. That makes it sound like I'm like, I don't know. You can do this if you want. I would say try to incorporate a little bit of it is what it is into your day today. Try to, if a situation arises and it's not what you planned and it's not what you wanted, instead of going out and trying to address the situation and fix it to be the way that you wanted or be the way that you planned, try to take that situation today and just, it is what it is. And maybe go outside your comfort zone to deal with it and just process it here in your head, before you go take whatever action you need to make, instead of taking the action before to make it hit you the right way, if that makes sense. Give it a shot. And I'll try to do that too today, for sure. That is about all I wanted to chat about today. Thank you so much for watching, for listening to this week's Olio. I have a lovely idea for a podcast that I was actually talking to a friend about yesterday. A good friend of mine sent an idea my way, and I was like, that sounds really great. We should definitely do that. So, hopefully soon we're going to be talking about viewpoints and perspectives and how growing up in certain sects or perhaps religions or schools or areas, how growing up in those different ways can affect you as an adult. So stay tuned for that. I'm hoping to get some other perspectives from friends of mine and kind of talk through that together. So with that being said, thank you once again for watching or listening to Olio today. I hope that you found a little bit of meaningfulness in the conversation, the very spacey conversation that we had today. Thank you again. Have a lovely rest of your day, afternoon, or night. Peace.